Hello, today is the 25th of August 2025. Henrik Ibsen's play The Enemy of the People. Have you read it? I've just read it again. I watched it as a theatre play and I've just been rereading it for some reason. And I'm going to talk about it. So welcome back to Interpreted Tradition. So today we're diving into An Enemy of the People by Henrik Ibsen. It was first performed in 1882. Now, this is one of those works that people usually present it in very simple terms, in my opinion. You have the courageous individual versus the cowardly majority. A truth teller who refuses to compromise even when the whole world turns against him. And that reading is true, but it is also incomplete, isn't it? Because if we look closer, and I hope if you haven't read it, I hope you do. If we look closer, Ibsen isn't only condemning the crowd here. He's showing us something much more disturbing. He's showing us how those in power manipulate the natural decency of the people, how they turn their instincts for loyalty, for caution, for community into weapons against themselves, into weapons against truth itself. So in this video I want to walk through the play a little bit, act by act. I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to summarize each act, okay? Summarize what happens in each, but also unpack a little bit how manipulation works in it and why it still matters today. Okay, so in Act 1 is the discovery. Okay, so what you have is Dr. Stockmann, who is in charge of the baths. The baths are a health spa in the town. He's a doctor, he's in charge of it, okay? And the spa is a health spa, but they call it the baths, and the baths are attracting sick people and tourists who come for the waters and so on. So there is a lot of prosperity beginning in the town because of these baths, okay? But he has noticed something which is worrying him terribly, and that is that actually the water could after all be infected, could be it's actually, instead of helping people, is making people sick. The water is actually polluted. He feels, he thinks, he has some evidence there because of a tannery up the nearby. So he worries about it. Could this be true? Okay, and he sends samples of the water and samples of different things to the university lab, and sure enough, in the first act we see how hasn't the postman come yet? He's worried about, anyway, finally he gets the results, and the results are devastating. The water is contaminated, the water is polluted. Okay, so in the play we see, just to begin, we see the Dr. Stockmann in his very comfortable home. He is in high spirits. The town, as I said, has recently built these new public baths, a kind of spa, and these baths are the pride of the community. All right, so Stockmann has just now received the results, the test results. The results are devastating. The water in the baths is contaminated. The water in the baths is polluted by the tannery nearby. So actually, instead of healing people, the baths could spread disease. Now, here's the irony. because Stockmann is thrilled by this discovery. How can he? I mean, he's in charge of the baths. Why is he so happy about it? Ibsen shows him to us as a little bit perhaps naive. Because he believes that now that he knows that the water is contaminated, he believes that by knowing it now, he can save the town from disaster. He imagines that everyone in the town, when they know the truth about the water being contaminated, I mean, they won't be happy, but they'll certainly want to do something about the baths, right? Close them down, rebuild, whatever, but they won't want to continue it as it is, right? So he imagines that everyone will thank him really for having found the truth. After all, who wouldn't want to know the truth? Who wouldn't want to protect the health of the general public, right? It's almost naive. And Ibsen portrays him in this way, that he's naive almost because he believes that truth is enough. Even in 1882 it wasn't. That if you just, he believed, Dr. Stockmann believed, that if you just present the facts, that people will rally around you. And of course, Ibsen is about to show all of us how wrong that assumption is. So that is Act 1. In Act 2, the pushback. Inside comes, in his house, comes his brother, Peter Stockmann. He's the mayor of the town. It's his brother, politician. Peter, as a politician, sees the situation very differently, instantly. He understands that what this discovery means, what it's going to mean. If the baths are closed and rebuilt, if the baths are closed, that is a terrible thing that's going to happen to the town. If they are rebuilt, closed and rebuilt, is going to cost a fortune. Taxes will have to be raised. Investors probably will vanish. The tourists may or may not come back in time. In other words, the town's future prosperity will collapse. You can understand that point of view too. I mean, this is a terrible thing that happened to the town, yeah. So how does Peter respond? And this is where he doesn't deny the facts outright. Not outright. He doesn't say the water is perfectly safe. The evidence is wrong. No, that's silly, that's too crude, yeah. Instead, he doesn't want anything done to the baths. Instead, he does something far more effective. He reframes the issue. How? He casts doubt. He downplays. He appeals to moderation, which for him is prudence. Are you sure your tests are accurate? Perhaps the danger is being exaggerated. Even if it is true, couldn't we just make gradual, improvements without really doing too much to the water, without alarming the people? How can we walk around all this without changing anything, So notice what he's doing here. He's not fighting truth with a lie. He's fighting truth with reasonableness, with prudence, with moderation, what sounds like prudence. And here we see the first layer of manipulation. He uses people's natural instincts, their natural fear, dislike of disruption, the desire for stability, and he turns those instincts against them, against the truth. It's not cowardice, as you can see, it's strategy. Okay, so that's the politician. He sees it immediately. Now we have in Act 3, we have the newspaper man, the press. 1882, the liberal press. Yes, they were on the left, obviously. They would speak truth to power. They were with the people, the voice of the people. The newspaper is called the People's Voice, I think. I forgot the name of the news. I think it's the People's Voice or something like that. In any case, against the politicians, against the status quo, and so on. They pride themselves on that. They talk to Dr. Stockmann. And so we are going to meet three people in the press. One is the printer, the other one is the editor, the other one is the publisher, something like that. Their names are Hofstad, Billing, and Alaksen. And once Dr. Stockmann, who's not hiding anything, tells them about it and tells them that at first, he tells them that he has received the evidence, and they're talking about publishing that report and so, oh, they're so happy. Yes, of course, they're going to publish it. We are with the people, we're going to help the people. They absolutely love the idea of exposing corruption too, because it appears also that they were built very badly. The pipes or something, or the water could have been, the pipes could have been done not so low down or higher up, I don't know. It goes through a whole explanation, but they were badly built anyway. Why? They were wanting to save money, or perhaps the money went into some politician's pocket, and there is a whole thing there. The press, these three guys just love to have the opportunity to expose corruption. So they say that they will publish, and they flatter him. They tell him that he is the hero of the people. But you're going to see how very quickly they're going to turn, they're going to shift. They're going to shift when they realize, for example, just how expensive it's going to be to fix the baths. They see it coming. They talk to the mayor say, can you imagine, would you like, do you want me to raise taxes? Okay, they begin to see that, that's going to be a problem. So they see, because the mayor is advancing, talking to people here and there and everywhere. The media senses also that public opinion might turn against them, that public opinion is turning against Dr. Stockmann, because Dr. Stockmann hasn't yet been able to talk to the people or to publish his report. But everyone is going behind him, sort of talking to the people. So the people have this thing about, oh, why does Dr. Stockmann want to close the baths? Terrible person. That's all they know. Okay? So public opinion is turning against the doctor. And so the press backs down. You can see that suddenly they're not so enthusiastic about the truth. Why? Because their real loyalty, however much they want to say that they speak for the people and so on, their real loyalty isn't to the truth at all. It is to the mood of the crowd. They call themselves voice of the people, but in reality they are opportunists. They just mirror whatever seems popular at the moment. This is in 1882. It's not what's happening now, but for the longest time, until about 20 years ago, that is also, we could say, they wanted to mirror, follow what was popular at that particular moment. So this is the second layer of manipulation in the play. It's not outright deception, but is opportunism. Leaders who wait to see where the crowd leans and then pretend that they were leading it all along. They were leading the crowd themselves all along. They were always there. And once again, Ibsen is merciless here. He shows how fragile so-called democratic institutions are when they are more when they're more interested in applause than in integrity. And now in Act 4 comes the climax of the play, the town meeting. We arrive at the most dramatic scene. Dr. Stockmann has called for a town meeting. He's going to talk to the people himself. He has been respected until now. People respected him. So he's going to tell him, and he wants you see, before he did so, he wanted the evidence. So he can address the people and tell them, look, this is happening, we're all unhappy about it, but it cannot continue to be open because it's spreading disease. I know how terrible this thing is, but it cannot continue as it is now, okay? So he's going to talk to them and present the evidence to them. And this is Dr. Stockmann's great hope. Already he has his brother, the mayor, and all the politicians against him. People are whispering behind his back, why is he so, a traitor to the town? They don't know yet. They just hear things. The press certainly is turning against him. Perhaps. Okay, so this is his great chance now. This is his great hope, to talk to the people directly. He believes that if he can just speak directly to the townspeople, if he can present his evidence clearly, they will see the truth and they will demand action. And he really believes that the facts and the evidence will win. And what happens? The meeting itself is carefully managed against him. Stockmann isn't even allowed to read out his report, the report that he wants to read and present the evidence. It never comes to that. It was managed in a way that we started talking about different things, and he was never allowed to present the evidence. Carefully managed. Not allowed to read his report. The question of the bath's pollution is never actually debated. The pollution of the water, which is the main thing, is never actually debated. Instead, the mayor and his allies redirect the discussion, and suddenly the issue is not, is the water safe or is it not? Instead, it becomes, is Dr. Stockmann undermining the town? He doesn't care for this town, does he? Otherwise he wouldn't be saying these things. Is he threatening our prosperity? He doesn't seem to care at all about the town. Everyone was talking, everyone is debating. He wants to present, no, first of all we must hear the people. First of all we must introduce this and that. everyone is talking. This is what they're talking about. Is he threatening the prosperity of the town? Does he care more about his own pride? Oh yes, he seems to be a very proud man, than about the community. Is he just, looking after his own self-interest? However you can sort of get around that, and that is what. But it's never, is the water safe or not? Do you see what's happening? The factual question, the truth about the water, is pushed aside. What takes center stage now is identity, loyalty, fear of betrayal, and the crowd, manipulated skillfully, turns openly now against Dr. Stockmann. He came to warn them of disease. He leaves branded an enemy of the people. At the end, someone says he is the enemy of the people, and everyone starts shouting, enemy of the people, enemy of the people. It reminds you, crucify him, He's actually, that is his title now, enemy of the people. And this is one of the most chilling portrayals of crowd psychology I think ever put on stage. Except for, when you see about the Passion of the Christ. Yeah. And again, but this is the crucial thing, it's not that the people are stupid. It's not that the people are evil. It's not that the people are wicked. The people are decent people. That's the tragedy of it. The tragedy is that it is their decency and their natural instincts to protect their town, to defend the honor of the town, all this. And think about what has been happening in our world recently. How our better instincts have been used, twisted, and used against them, against ourselves. Our best instincts twisted and used against ourselves. If we didn't have those moral constraints, we wouldn't care, but we do. And we have a sense of, right and wrong and shame and all that, and those are used against decent people. So in Act 5 we have the outcast. By the final act, Dr. Stockmann has lost everything. He's fired from his job. His house is vandalized. His children are bullied at school. His friends have deserted him. And here again, he refuses to back down. He insists on standing alone, and nothing but the truth with nothing but the truth and his own conscience. And you see, it's an ending where people often think is a triumphant ending, like a Western movie, the cowboy sort of alone, No, that is not Ibsen's intention here. It is not the solitary hero defying the mob. No. No, because Ibsen let us see that in a way he has failed. At least it is not triumphant. It is ambiguous, and that is what we have to think about. It is ambiguous. Because, yes, Stockmann still has his integrity, but he is also powerless. More importantly, the truth has not prevailed by, let's say, what he's done or what he hasn't done, or the way he's done it or not done it. But the truth has not prevailed. Manipulation has prevailed here. So it's not a triumphant outcome to see this hero here, no. And the author actually leaves us with that uncomfortable reality. So what does this all mean? Yes, an enemy of the people is about the courage of one man, yes. Importantly also, it's about the terrifying ease, perhaps more importantly actually, it's about the terrifying ease with which a crowd can be manipulated. Ibsen doesn't only blame the masses for cowardice, although they are really a little bit, but not really. They could have at least asked questions. There is a certain cowardice there in not wanting to stand out, not wanting to go against the crowd. But so he does blame the crowd a little bit for that, but he blames the people who know how to play on that cowardice, if you want to call it that, on that insecurity, on that sense of self-preservation. The people who know how to play on that, who know how to turn loyalty into mob rule, who know how to turn prudence into paralysis, and who know how to turn decency itself into a weapon against the people who are decent, against a weapon against truth. That's the real warning of the play, because if you look at the mechanics of what happens, Peter Stockmann, the politician, never disproves his brother. He never wins by evidence. He wins by reframing, by redirecting questions, by changing the question. And if that feels familiar, it should, yeah. We've seen it quite a few times now. When whistleblowers are silenced, not because they are wrong, but because they are inconvenient. When truth tellers are dismissed as dangerous or disrupted or using misinformation. When those who expose corruption are branded as traitors or enemies. This isn't just Ibsen's world, it's ours too. So in the end, an enemy of the people isn't simply a celebration of the lonely hero against the crowd. No. It's a warning about how fragile truth is in any community. Because truth doesn't just face resistance from self-interest. It faces resistance from manipulation, from those who know how to twist our instinct for loyalty, for caution, for prudence, for moderation, for belonging, until we ourselves, in the name of decency, end up rejecting the truth. And that's why this play still matters, because it shows us that the greatest danger to truth is not only the cowardice of the masses, but the skill of those who know how to use that cowardice. That's Ibsen's message. And it remains as urgent now as it was in 1882. So that's An Enemy of the People. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this interpretation, consider subscribing. I'm going to do more of this type for members only, for my members, just going through different books or different plays or different whatever, and just give you my own interpretation of things. So this is the first one that I show you as a sample of what I will be doing, but I will take it to members only. But in any case, if you'd like to share your thoughts below, especially how you see this dynamic playing out today. And until next time, this has been Lali and Interpreting Tradition. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.